How's it going, everybody? Thanks for watching another video. Thought I'd make a quick Q&A video. I'm waiting for a load of straw to come in here so I can unload it and stack it inside the hay shed. Been getting a few loads of big squares here a few a day the last week or so. Had a few questions on this last video here about the sorghum and barley. Thought I'd show you guys quick here. So we finished the sorghum and barley silage, and this is the sorghum here. We started feeding some already to our heifers and a little bit to our far off dry cows. So it looks pretty similar to corn silage, just without the kernels in there, I guess. It's I don't think it's fully fermented yet, but it does smell like it is in the fermentation process now. I'll show you the piles here quick. So these two piles of sorghum we have piled on the dirt here and behind the yard. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. We don't have enough concrete to keep all this feed on concrete, and we normally don't have sorghum and barley silage to begin with. But we always need more concrete. It seems like that gives us something to work towards, I guess. But looking at the two piles here, they're similar width and they're fairly long. They're probably about 300 feet each. So one of you guys asked if this will, if the barley or if the sorghum will replace any of our corn silage, and if we seed one or the other or go back and forth, or how we do that. So that the sorghum and barley we don't typically seed. It's the sorghum for sure is just going to be heifer feed. It doesn't have much feed. It doesn't have a lot of energy. Doesn't have a lot of protein. It's mainly just it's better than straw, but not a whole lot better than straw. So it's basically just a filler for those rations for those heifers. They don't need a lot of energy like the cows do. These piles of sorghum and barley that we do have, I think the sorghum for sure will last us quite a while, probably a couple years, I think. Kind of depends how much we can feed to the dry cows. We can't, it's a little bit more touchy because of the potassium level in this stuff. But we are feeding some to them already, and we'll probably bump it up a little bit at a time and see how it goes. The barley I'd like to have, there's another pile of barley that's smaller on the north side of the shop. That one is on concrete. I'd like to have that one finished by next spring because I want that concrete space for alfalfa. We'll see if we can feed some of that to the cows and then maybe some to the heifers, but we haven't really had that conversation yet with our nutritionist. We want to let that pile ferment a little bit longer. I guess to answer that question, we're going to feed a little bit less corn silage just because we're feeding this to the heifers instead of the corn silage, but we're not feeding this to the cows, the milking cows, instead of corn silage. So that's still going to stay the same. We're still harvesting the normal amount of corn silage acres that we normally would this year, and we will continue to do that again next year. It will just be a little bit extra feed for us to have on hand. It's always good to have more or too much than not enough, I guess. The other questions were mainly about the mower, and I'll walk over there, talk about those a little bit more by the mower. So I'm by the tractor now with the mower on it. There's been quite a few comments on the mower itself, mainly because I was having issues with it, and some of you guys giving me some suggestions, and we tried a lot of those things. When the mowers were working, they were working really good, and it's didn't seem like we were having any issues at all. But once you started having issues, then it progressively got worse. The few things I guess that I wanted to talk about mainly was a lot of you guys asked about speed or mentioned that we needed to drive slower. It seemed like driving slower actually made it worse at a certain point. If we were going under 5, that definitely did not work at all. It seemed like a good spot to be was in, we cut the first 500 acres at like 7.5, 8 miles an hour. Then we started having issues. The colossus rep said we needed to drive faster. The last few hundred acres we were going probably 11 to 12, and it definitely when it works good, the mower and the tractor can easily handle that speed with that crop, and we were having no issues at all. And I didn't have any more issues once we replaced the belts and that slip clutch on the front mower, but my worry is that eventually we're going to wear those out again, and they really shouldn't be wearing after 500 acres, or at least that's my opinion. The other question, or the other comment that one or two of you made, was about the conditioners, about either taking them off or, yeah, I don't remember exactly what the other one was, but there was one about taking them off, and we did consider that. Not sure what kind of a job that is, but I was told that that's not very easy on these because it's a double drive conditioner, and yeah, I didn't even really look into that. I was just told it would not be that easy, but it wouldn't have been ideal anyways to do that, because that sorghum is a fairly thick stem. It's fairly wet inside that stem, so we really needed to crack those open to get it to dry down. I don't think it would have worked very well. I mean, it would have worked to get like a 50 acres done or 100 acres done, but not the 500 some acres we had left after we started having issues. I don't think that that would have been far from ideal. I did find out though, or did learn, that on these mowers with a double drive conditioner, we can open them up quite a bit to have a, I don't know, I haven't looked into exactly how much of a gap. I was told it could be like an 1 to 2 inch gap if they're open all the way, which on previous models you couldn't do. So that's good to know for the future. I guess if we ever run into an issue, we could open them up all the way to get the crop to flow better. Now there's a little bit of a gap there. It's probably like 3 millimeters. So they're not tight together, and we don't really want them to be super tight together. You want there to be a little bit of a gap, but we can open them up, I guess, from what I was told. The other questions were about the right mower that I was having issues with. So this is actually our mower that they brought back to us. So after the video that came out, I had mentioned to you guys that they were going to bring us a rental mower or a loaner mower. Well, they did. It's sitting right here. But this mower, it does not have double driven conditioner rolls. It only drives one, and then the second one gets turned basically by being locked in with the other one, and that did not work at all. I went probably 100 feet, plugged it up, then tried going faster, and it would work, and then all of a sudden it wouldn't, and it was just making a mess. It just was too much crop for just a single driven conditioner roll. Just wasn't working. It even at some point would go through the conditioners, but it wasn't conditioning just because it was such a thick mat of sorghum. So that was very annoying, because at that point they had already taken our mower to Jamestown. So they took the cutter bar off, brought it back without the cutter bar on. So we finished the last 4 fields, or the last 3 or 4 fields, with just the front mower and the left mower again. And some of you mentioned about warranty, or about whether they're going to stand behind this or take care of this, and I fully expect that all of this will be warranty, and I fully expect that Butler and Kloss will stand behind this mower. It's a brand new mower, so I would expect that it should be fixed, or it should work as advertised, I guess. So I'm not too worried about that, but we're definitely going to stay on top of that to make sure that everything gets taken care of. And we did, after the few adjustments and the few additions that were added on this front mower, I didn't have any issues with it, but I suppose we did mow probably about the same amount of acres as we did before we had issues, probably around 500-600 acres. I did have to adjust the tension on the front belt once, but with new belts, that's not abnormal. Looks like that load of straw is just pulling in here. About all the questions that I wanted to answer for you guys in this Q&A. We've got some rain here kind of all day, off and on a little bit. The plan is to start silage here in about a few days. This is the plan. There's a little more rain in the forecast on Saturday. I think it's tomorrow, so hopefully we don't get too much out of that one, and then we can get rolling on Monday or Tuesday with silage and earlage. But I appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully I answered some of your questions, and we'll see you in the next one.